What's going on, everybody? It's Kevin. I'm here with another experiment. Now this one comes from lots of scrap. Now I'm sure many of you artists have lots of scrap out there, but I have a literal ton of scrap. So over all the years of cutting clear base pieces for class, especially with the circles, I end up with a ton of these size pieces. Now these I turn into fish garden art. So that's how I've come up with using those. I can also cut little ornament blanks, which are little 3-inch circles out of those pieces. So when we do our ornament workshops later in the year here at the studio, we make sure that you have lots of those to cut up. So I have over 2,000 pounds, probably over 4,000 pounds of glass right now, all stored. And when I cut 6-inch circles, I'm left with these little kind of triangular type pieces. Now, I've thought about it for a long time, and as most of my experiments, they've been in here, and it's time to experiment to see what they actually look like. I'm planning on stacking these up right on top, and so that you get a crisscross effect. I might even go and just slowly work them around as I'm building them. So let's get to work and then see what we get. Okay, so hopefully this is the right angle for you. I've got my kiln shelf here. I have my bullseye thin fire paper. I'm just, again, lots of scrap of this too. So I'm just laying it out to make sure if this experiment doesn't work out the way we want it to, we're not gonna end up with a mess on our shelf, because there's nothing worse than getting glass on your shelf, because even if you sand it, then your shelf isn't completely level. So it's kind of a process if you mess that up. I've experienced that and how to get new shelves. So again, we're just gonna lay these down. I don't have a crazy amount of these, so it may not be very tall on this one, and that's all right. I think I like that, so I'm doing kind of 3. It's kind of hard to see where we just laid them. So 3 corners. Looks so cool. Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna make sure I kind of at least get it somewhat straight up, because if it's leaning too far to the side, it's gonna fall over before we even get it stuck together. So I think it's this one. It's the final one. So we check that out. Let's get a little closer look. Pretty cool. All right, here we go. Let's put it in. Lay something to set the board on. All right, the real test. Did it make it to the kiln without tipping? Because there's no glue on it. Just stacked it up. It must be a cool Christmas tree if you made it smaller towards the top. All right, so we've got our piece laid in and we are ready to fire this baby up. All right, I thought you might want to see this part, so I'm going to kind of create a program here. Let's see what we can do. Let's do 5 segments. We can go up pretty fast because it's not melted together yet, so it's not thick yet. It's, yes, will be thick after it's fired, so we definitely want to cool it slow, but for this, we're gonna go at 300 degrees an hour to 1,000 degrees. And we won't hold it for any, we're just gonna then go straight as fast as possible to, let's see, let's go 1390. That's kind of tack fuse temperature, at least for my kilns. Let's do let's do 10 minutes. Let's see how that looks. Then we'll go as fast as possible down to our annealing temperature, which is 950. We're gonna hold it there for, let's say 120. This is where I'm gonna need to pull out my kiln schedule because I wanna make sure I get it right. Okay, so we're then gonna go 30 degrees down to 800 and hold for 15. We're then gonna go 50 degrees down to 700 and we're gonna hold for 10. Oh, and then that's the rest. So we actually need to go back and I'm going to add in one more step. Oh. So program 6, segments 6, okay. So 300 degrees to 1,000. It's always good to double check your kiln schedule, even once you put it in. We're then going as fast as possible to 1390, which is about tack fusing temperature. We're gonna hold it there for 10 minutes. Then as fast as possible to 950. I'm estimating about 1 inch thick on this piece, maybe more, maybe less, but it's kind of a safe range, at least for this experiment. We can always change it from there. If you're ever worried about a program or a project cracking, slower is always better. Same with shaping. Keep it low temperature, just hold it for a longer time because then you're gonna be able to control how it shapes a lot better than if you crank the heat. So if it's really not doing anything, you'll go heat. But back to the program, we're gonna anneal at 950 for an hour or hour and 20 minutes. And then 30 degrees down to 800, hold for 15. 50 degrees down to 700, hold for 10. And then we're gonna go 250 down to 100, and we're gonna hold that for 0. Okay, no alarm needed, and then we're gonna start. So we'll see how this turns out. All right, everybody, now let's see how our piece turned out. Oh yeah, look at that. It's actually pretty cool. Look at that. So we have basically a paperweight is what we kind of created. It's shaped, fused a little more than I probably wanted it to. I want to see if I can tack fuse it less to get it to stay taller, maybe more of a tree. But this is definitely a cool, actually, paperweight.